Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys and offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Business First Bank, with locations throughout the state, including 11 offices in the Baton Rouge area, providing personal and commercial banking, treasury management, and wealth solution services to help clients succeed. Business First Bank, banking with greater momentum. And by Shewart & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. And Orange Theory Fitness, delivering fitness results for a healthier world.
From Mansurs On The Boulevard in Baton Rouge, we're out to lunch with editor of the Baton Rouge Business Report, Stephanie Riegel. It's business, Baton Rouge style.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Riegel. Welcome to Out to Lunch. While New Orleans gets the lion's share of attention for being Louisiana's premier tourist destination, Baton Rouge has some offerings of its own, particularly downtown, where several new hotels have opened in recent years in an effort to make the market more attractive to leisure and business travelers. Is it enough? And what do we have to offer here to attract and entertain visitors and locals alike? Joining me today to discuss this is Michael Day, General Manager of the Raising Cane's River Center, which is Baton Rouge's premier event facility. Built in 1977, the River Center has more than 10,000 square meters of exhibition space, a 12,000-seat facility for concerts, performances, and sporting events, a ballroom and meeting rooms, and then a separate 1,200-seat fine arts theater where the Baton Rouge Symphony Orchestra and the Baton Rouge Ballet perform, among others. In the fall of 2016, the River Center became the Raising Cane's River Center when Raising Cane's bought the naming rights for the River Center for nearly $4 million, a deal that was designed to help generate a little cash that could be used to help refurbish the center. Michael has been at the helm since 2015. He's come a long way since he got his start as a DJ on a cruise ship. No doubt one of the favorite jobs he's ever had. Michael, I hope this is as much fun as that was. We'll get into it. Welcome to Out to Lunch.
Thank you, Stephanie. Love it. It's a great place to have lunch, by the way.
Thanks. With me and Michael at the table is David Beard, who works right across the street from Michael at the USS Kidd Veterans Museum, where he is executive director. The Kidd is a World War II-era Fletcher Class Destroyer ship that is one of Baton Rouge's best-known and unique tourist attractions. And David is unique in that he is the first full-time experienced museum curator to run the facility. And that's significant because he's bringing a whole new level of expertise to keeping this historical treasure afloat, figuratively, if not literally. David has spent the past 2 decades as a museum curator with a specialty in military and maritime museums. He is a native of Little Rock, Arkansas, who previously ran military museums in Philadelphia and most recently the Museum of the Gulf Coast in Port Arthur, Texas. David, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Real happy to be here, and anything I can do to promote the Kidd and Baton Rouge is always a great opportunity.
We will let you. Well, Michael, I'm going to go back to you and start. I got to ask you, you started out as a DJ on a luxury cruise line, worked your way up to cruise director, and eventually became entertainment director for one of the biggest luxury cruise lines in the world. It sounds very glamorous and fun compared to the River Center here, the Raising Cane's River Center here in Baton Rouge. Am I wrong?
Well, they each have their ups and downs, but yes, I do miss being out on the ocean. But the great thing about being here at the River Center is, when I came here. First thing I was really touched with is the great spirit of the people in Louisiana. Really fell in love with the people here. And the building itself is getting a little long in the tooth, in certain areas. And I really felt that a capital city like Baton Rouge needed to have a better, and I always use the term anchor for enrichment and entertainment. I guess that's my nautical background. But I really felt that there was so much work to be done here to fix up this facility and make it what a capital city should have. So I was excited about that opportunity, and I'm happy to be here.
And the River Center, as I mentioned, has undergone a big change in that it's now the Raising Cane's River Center. And that's a little bit of money that comes with that to help towards these renovations. What is the significance of having, a named sponsor now?
Yeah, well, and in
terms of just the branding and the everything that comes with it.
Yeah, I think when I first started out work on trying to get a naming rights partner, which is pretty common in the public facilities industry now. But when I started that and I kind of put together, a list, I'll tell you, it was 39 companies, I think, on the list. And if I look at that list, I think if there was, in the top 3 had to be Raising Cane.
Sure.
And Todd Graves is so connected to this city, and he really wants to help improve things for the city and the people. And so he had that same spirit, and we were able to put together this licensing deal with them, and it just raises the bar. I think for the 40 full-time employees that I have and 450 part-time employees I have, there's a little pride when they say Raising Cane's River Center. So that's a great thing. Now, the naming rights for the Raising Cane's River Center is the main complex only.
Okay.
So it's the arena, it's the exhibition hall, it's the ballroom, and it's the galleria, the multi-event part of the facility. The Performing Arts Theater actually is not part of that.
We can find another partner to name that and generate a little more money. And I want
Yes.
to talk to you in a minute about what you're going to use that money for. But speaking of money, David, when you came here in 2016, one of the things you were tasked with and wanted to do was to make this facility sustainable long term, and that involved more corporate sponsorships. You said, how are those efforts going? And in the time that you've been here, what have you been able to do for the kid?
Well, we're making some strides, sort of baby steps. The museum spent over 30 years not really pursuing any kind of corporate relationships with the community.
They were just behind the times.
And
sort
they
of.
just had certain funds that they could always tap when they needed them. But I'm very much in favor of trying to make the kid a community asset, and that means ownership. And that ownership comes through, financial support, and that's what I'm hoping to generate more and more financial support for the kid.
And you all have, and you've put together exhibits for the museum. Beefed up the museum side of it, not just the vessel itself.
Oh, certainly, yeah. And one of the things is that for so many years the kid was kind of been there, done that, bought the T-shirt, and that's it. Nothing ever changed. Once you toured the ship, you
saw it, right?
Yeah, nothing changed in the museum for decades. And that's just not what museums are supposed to do. And so we are embarked on a program of creating or borrowing anywhere from 1 to 3 new exhibits every year, so people will have a reason to come back.
Wonderful. And who are your visitors? Is it mostly tourists? Is it locals? I know the Cub Scouts all do their sleepovers there, and you definitely get the school groups.
We get people from everywhere, all around the world. Of course, school groups make a big part of our visitorship, especially in the spring. School tours are really starting to crank up for the spring. Overnights, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, church groups that stay overnight on the ship, that's a big part. The tour boats bring in lots of visitors, and those people from everywhere.
And we're getting more of these river cruises in Baton Rouge, right?
Yeah. As I understand, there's a possibility of even another line coming in. So that's wonderful for us, and wonderful for everybody.
Yeah. Michael, what are the numbers like for the Raising Cane's River Center? How many shows do y'all do a year? How many people do y'all bring to the center?
It's approximately 350 events a year at the River Center, and that accounts to about 400,000, just over 400,000 people who pass through our doors.
Wow. Now, we passed a tax a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago.
Just last December.
Just last
December 8th,
December.
actually.
Okay, so it wasn't a lot of the time. But that was to, in part, fund specific improvements to the River Center, plus you have a little bit of the naming rights revenue. What are y'all looking to fix up, and how important is it to bring a 1977-era facility into the 21st century?
Yeah, well, there's a lot happening with that. For, kind of backing up a step, there already in progress is a refurbishment of the Performing Arts Theater. So it's an $18.1 million refurbishment. The theater will go dark this July 1st, and it's going to take probably 16 to 18 months to get that facility done. And then it's going to be, again, the most beautiful, best theater for performing arts in the capital area. So we're excited from that. Separate from that, the hotel tax that just passed, those revenues, our hope is to bond that for improvements to the arena.
And do you actually book shows and conventions yourself, or your sales staff does that?
I have a salesperson, Rhonda Ruffino, is my director of sales and marketing, and between Rhonda and I, we pretty much do all of the booking.
but there's a lot of competition out there, and you've got New Orleans right down the road,
Yeah.
which has convention facilities and huge hotels with huge meeting and convention
Yeah,
space.
that's true. I always say people are always looking for a reason or excuse to head down to New Orleans for the weekend. If a band plays in New Orleans, they're not going to play in Baton Rouge in the same year typically, but we may get them the next year. So that's kind of the way that booking cycle goes. But I will say Baton Rouge has something really great going for it on the convention side, and that is we have 6 and soon to be 7 hotels within walking distance to the River Center, to the main complex. So for people coming in from out of town, they want to take in a little bit of the Southern culture, some of the food and the friendly people that we have here. They can just get the transfer from the hotel from the airport to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to rent a car and drive someplace. They can literally walk to the River Center.
And one of those attractions, for instance, David, is the Kidd. Do you all work together, or are there synergies between the River Center and the Kidd, or between you two, where you're able to, capitalize on what each other has to help each other out?
Well, we try to, whenever possible, to sort of cross-promote each other. We don't have official partnerships, as it were, but the River Center, they keep material about what's going on at the Kidd. They promote to their guests what's going on. We can even work with them to develop some packages, some discounts if they have a special group in town, like the bowlers that were here.
Yeah, I was going to say that was probably the best example.
Yeah.
David, what are the numbers like for the Kidd? Where does your money come from? I mean, and do you all get any grants? Do you get any help from the federal government, being like a decommissioned former vessel?
We get no state money, even though we are an unfunded state agency. The city gives us a grant, as they do the other cultural institutions in the city every year.
It's probably not very much.
Most of our funds are generated by, we self-generate.
Okay.
Through ticket sales, gift shops, the overnights, grants whenever we can get them.
And just fundraising.
But of course, we're weak on fundraising. Historically, we never did. And it's time we do that. And it's time that we stepped out sort of the shadows in the sort of the giving community in Baton Rouge and become an entity worth supporting by the philanthropic community.
Because it is such a unique attraction, such an asset in the community. Are you good at fundraising? I mean, is this in your wheelhouse?
Well, I've been told that I have an ability to inspire people about a project. I can kind of draw people in and get them excited about a project. I've never really had the opportunity to try and raise a lot of money, but we are hoping that that's going to be in the future of the Kidd, because the Kidd, it's a 30-year-old facility. It's wholly inadequate for its current use. Future growth is out of the question with the facility. We need to look at where we need to go,
Yeah.
and of course that would involve raising money. And I'm hoping that we can get the word out and engage the community enough that we will be able to set a goal and meet that goal, so that the Kidd can become, and remain an asset, a cultural asset to downtown.
Absolutely. Now, one of the big things for the Kidd this year is a movie that Tom Hanks is making there, going to utilize the vessel. How does that help? And what are the logistics behind that? Do y'all have to shut down while they're filming a movie there?
Well, we're really happy that Hollywood has become aware of us, because we are the best preserved World War II warship on the planet, actually.
Really?
Because
The best preserved?
Well, it's in its World War II configuration. So many warships of that era were retrofit, modernized, things like that. So
Okay.
that, you look at the Kidd, its profile, its armaments, its navigation, everything is just like at the end of World War II.
Wow.
And so that makes us ideal for films of that era. So we're working with the Baton Rouge Film Commission. We are hoping that more attention will be drawn to the USS Kidd as a site for filming.
Yeah. And so when they come, I mean, do they shut it down and actually get on board and they,
Sure, we have to shut down, because obviously when filming is going on, you can't have tourists on board.
Right.
You can't have the extra noise. There are all kinds of cables, all kinds of things going on. We've been down this road before. We've had a number of films made using the ship, but not really focusing so much on the outside. Lots of interiors of the ship. Yeah.
and does it make a lot of money for y'all?
We're hoping it has made some money in the past, and of course we lose revenue by being closed down. By
yeah.
something like that. So of course we need to be compensated.
Right. Well, I'm Stephanie Riegel. You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm talking to David Beard of the USS Kidd and Michael Day of the Raising Cane's River Center. Let's switch gears for a moment away from business, and this is a part of the show we call Another Great Idea. So maybe you've got a friend who's always got a great idea for you, tells you about a job to apply for, or someone you should have a cup of coffee with, or an investment opportunity you should jump on, and maybe you take this advice and it turns out well, maybe it doesn't turn out so well, maybe you don't take the advice and wish you had. Can you think of a situation like this, and did you take the advice or not, and how did it turn out for you? Michael?
Okay. That's a big question. Business advice or just in
general,
let's see.
In life advice.
Well, the one thing that comes to mind is I remember when I was moving here to Baton Rouge from South Florida, and I had an old friend of mine who was a performer, very successful businessman. It has 3 patents and is very successful. But he plays guitar and he tells old stories. So he's a humorist, not a stand-up comic, but a humorist. And he plays his guitar and he dresses kind of fancy, and but been very successful. And I really appreciate his advice. And when I said I was going to Baton Rouge, and he said, well, what you really should do is rent a house for a year and get to know the area and all that before you buy a house. Well, okay. So when we came here, my wife and I found a house we really fell in love with out of Greystone. And we didn't want to pay a bunch of money into rent and lose that. We wanted to, maintain that money. So I said, hey, baby, we got a presidential election coming up in a year. The market's going to go way down. Let's put our money into real estate. Let's take all the extra money we made in Florida, and let's put a bigger down payment on the house. This will be smart, honey. And I'm still eating those words. Yes, because we were flooded out.
Oh, and, that's right, you
yeah,
were.
So that advice I should have taken.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Good story.
Yeah.
Good story. But unfortunate outcome. Maybe somehow it'll all come out happy in the end. David?
Well, this is a very personal sort of advice, and it didn't come from a person. It came from a bigger entity. Like many people, I met my wife through Match.com, interestingly enough.
Really?
And they offer you all kinds of different people that you're cruising through there and just going, look at this person, look at this person, look at that person. And so, after many interesting encounters with people, I came upon a profile, and it was on there, and it was an attractive woman, seemed to have a really eclectic sort of a profile, interesting similarities and some things that I just found fascinating. And so I read it all through. This is interesting, and the program has something that says "See others like this."
Okay.
You know how we all the grass is always greener. Looking for something. Of course, I'd never met this person, and I clicked on it, and it said, "So there are no others like this."
Wow.
She is one in a million.
That's amazing.
And so I took that as advice that I should contact this person, and I did. Now,
That's
in all
great.
fairness, she had just signed up.
Okay.
And her stuff had not gone through the system to where it could match her up. And so I tried to remind her of this so she doesn't get a big head. But it worked out well. And
congratulations.
And I took the advice of Match.com.
And Match.com hadn't been around that long. So how many years have you been married now?
We've been married for a little over 9 years now.
Excellent.
Wow.
Excellent. I know 2 other very happy couples that met on Match.com, so it can work.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a good commercial for them.
I'll be expecting a check.
Michael, you mentioned your house had flooded. I know in that same flood, you all were both affected. Professionally, the River Center became a shelter for a number of weeks, and I think the Kidd even had to close down just because there was so much activity around there. And I guess this happens from time to time. But what does that do when you have that sort of business
once every
interruption?
1,000 years is where we're hoping that
Let's
they're
hope.
right about that.
Yeah.
Let's
We're
hope
thinking
it stays there at that.
Because that was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But the next 1,000-year flood, I'm going to nail it because I got it now.
But y'all did okay.
Yeah, well, we got evacuated 3 times, and then I ended up running an evacuation out in Livingston Parish until I could get myself out.
No kidding.
And then once I got down to the River Center, wasn't leaving very quickly. Because we became the Red Cross's largest shelter in the state at that time. And the difficult part for downtown was 35 days as a shelter plus a little more time on either end. That they had to completely close down River Road, which really hurt the Kidd and LASM. So it was a difficult, challenging time for all of us. But we got through it, and my wife and I, when we talk about it, we got to kind of hold back tears a little bit because, the people who came out to help us, we were pretty new in town, and it's just that we will never forget the generosity and it's great hearts that people around Louisiana had. People I didn't even know these people coming to my door, and what was left of the door, and bringing us food. And saying, you guys need to take a break, sit down, eat this. And I don't even know, I still don't know who they were, but there was many people who came and just whatever you needed, they were going to help you. And it's really a great
That
testament
is nice
to
to hear. And David, were you here for that?
No.
You weren't here yet.
It's really interesting.
Your predecessor had to deal with the Kidd being shut down.
She did, yes. And so I missed all that. And the neighborhood where we moved into actually did flood, but the houses are all built upon piers. So the home that we bought was not actually physically flooded. But it's interesting that the house that we left in Texas, when we moved here, got flooded during Hurricane Harvey. So we dodged
hazards
both
of
flooding
life on the
bullets.
Gulf Coast,
Yes.
no
Mr. Lucky.
question.
It was.
You mentioned River Road and downtown, and so much has gone on there in the past decade, certainly. I mean, you've seen so much revitalization and almost 7 hotels now, as you mentioned. Do we have too many hotel rooms? Is it enough hotel rooms? Will 7 get us where we need to be? I hear mixed things, and I know our occupancy rates market-wide are somewhere in the 70% range, which is not bad. I don't know what the downtown subsector is, but do we have the hotel rooms that we need, and is that good for y'all? Or?
From my opinion, I think we're right in the pocket right now for the size of our convention center. What we need to, I think, address next is just the traffic and parking situation, getting people in and getting people out. But in terms of the number of hotel rooms for the events we're bringing in, it's working right now. And I know that Visit Baton Rouge and Paul Arrigo and his fantastic team that he has there, they're working to build up events and to bring bigger conventions and groups here. But those events aren't just going to be downtown. It's going to be really throughout the parish.
Sure. And I know a lot of times we put so much attention on downtown, and then you get pushbacks from other segments of the community who say, why are we focusing so much on downtown? North Baton Rouge complains, southeast part of the parish complains. Do y'all think that's warranted? I mean, is two professionals who run institutions that are downtown?
Well, without a really vibrant core, most cities do not thrive. And one of the things that attracted me to come to Baton Rouge, of other options that were available to me, is that I saw what was happening downtown. It was transforming from what I had seen in the early 90s last time I was here. The museums, the hotels, the revitalization, the riverfront, all these things are life. And out of this core, flows other, life to the rest of the city. So I understand that there are only so many funds to go around, but you try and look at the way they're expended, and you hope that, based on other models, that a healthy downtown will generate a broader economic impact on the area.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, and the events that we bring downtown have a very positive economic impact on the whole area. And I still, when you think about a city to go to, Baton Rouge is right on the banks of the Mississippi. This is the real heartbeat of America. You got the state capitol. You have great tourist sites. I mean, the Kidd is unusual. Yeah. I mean, you don't see that kind of in other cities. And if you're a World War II fan, You got the World War II Museum down in New Orleans, but you got the real
And
deal
they don't
in
even
the
have
water.
the boat, right? They don't have the ship.
And if people who are listening, if there's ever, you want a great time, go down at sunset, bring something to drink, and go for a walk on the levee. With the river up, it looks like the Kidd is sailing right now. It's fantastic.
It is. There is so much water out there because half of the year the Kidd just sits there in her cradle.
Right.
There are times when there are fields of flowers growing
under
around
her.
the Kidd, and now she looks like she should. She's floating. She's proud. She's in the water. It's just a fantastic sight.
It's a beautiful sight.
Like Michael said, see it while you can, because later in the summer it's all going to go away.
Y'all are both from away and spent many years living elsewhere. Do you like Baton Rouge, and are you staying?
Like I said before, my wife and I are just so touched by the people here. We really love the generosity and the spirit. I love the Louisianians. They're just looking for a reason or excuse to have some food and some live music and have a party. There's so many festivals and things going on downtown. It's just a fun place to be.
This is true.
It's interesting you described as being from away. When I lived in Charleston, South Carolina, they told me I was from off. Oh. I was from off the peninsula. That meant I was an alien. But here, Baton Rouge is, I might have said, there's just so much going on. The food, the culture, the climate can be kind of questionable at times. Springtime is beautiful down here. It's so nice. And I've been all over the country. I've lived in 12 states, and every place has its own unique attractions, and we have found ways to enjoy living here.
Well, David Beard and Michael Day, y'all have both brought a lot of energy and fresh ideas to two of downtown's beloved attractions, and we're lucky to have y'all in the community. So thank you both for being here today on Out to Lunch.
Thank you, and thank you for an outstanding lunch.
Oh, this is fantastic. The crab was great.
Yeah.
My guests today on Out to Lunch have been Michael Day, General Manager of the Raising Cane's River Center, and David Beard, Executive Director of the USS Kidd Veterans Museum. The producer of our show is Grant Morris. Our technical producer is Eric Merle. Our associate producer is Peter Raschuti, and our Baton Rouge business consultants are Charlie D'Agostino and Ann Edelman. Photos were taken by Karry Hosford. You can find more of Karry's photos on karryhosford.com and on our It's Baton Rouge Facebook page. You can hear the show and past episodes of Out to Lunch wherever you get podcasts and at itsbatonrouge.la. Out to Lunch is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsbatonrouge.la and WRKF 89.3 FM. I'm Stephanie Riegel. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to meeting you again next week around the table here at Mansurs for more business Baton Rouge style on Out to Lunch.
Out to Lunch is recorded live over lunch at Mansurs on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Mansurs is open for lunch daily from 11 to 2, for dinner nightly, and for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. Mitchell Foreman wrote and performs all the music on Out to Lunch. Mitchell's music is available wherever great jazz is sold or streamed, and at mitchellforeman.com. Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys and offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Business First Bank, with locations throughout the state, including 11 offices in the Baton Rouge area, providing personal and commercial banking, treasury management, and wealth solution services to help clients succeed. Business First Bank, banking with greater momentum. And by Shewart & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. And by Orange Theory Fitness, delivering fitness results for a healthier world.